Right, so my Lupine SL lighting system turned up yesterday, and I'm just going to do a short video on the installation of the Lupine lighting system into my Turbo Levo. So firstly, you'll need to take off the crank. Pretty easy, use an 8mm Allen key to do that. It's fairly tight. And then there's three little, let me just get the casing. There's three little 3mm Allens that you can undo to get that non-drive side motor housing off. So if you look at that, it's all ready to go. The routing should be fairly simple. You can see the speed sensor and the control switch are there. The speed sensor is that smaller plug, and the control unit plug is the flat plug. You can see just above that. If you look in there closely, I'll just get a light in there. You can see there's two dummy plugs. Let me get that on there better. See, there's two little dummy plugs. It's the leftmost dummy plug, which will be used to plug in the Lupine light cable, and I'll route that up through the down tube, up here, up to the through one of the little ports on the side there, and then mount the light just on the front of the handlebar, I believe. So yeah, pretty simple. I'll just take the dummy plug out, and I'll plug in the cable and route it up and just see if there's any issue doing that. The cable, it's just a generic Brose S motor to light unit connector. That round one there looks like the one that will be going into the dummy plug that I just mentioned, and the other will wire into the light unit. Packaged light kit here, so stickers, documentation. Ordered this from Lupine in Germany direct. How you doing over there? Yes, looking on very intently. I've routed this cable here. You can see pretty straightforward. It's popping out here. You just want to run that. Just run the terminal end there. Just run it up through. Just the curvature of the cable will run against the inside of that down tube, and you should have space there on the right hand side cable entrance. And it took me like one go, 15-second job to feed that through. And you can see down the end there we have the plug that goes into the blank. So I'm going to connect that now. Use some needle nose pliers to take out the blank. Just it's pretty simple. Where are we? Some light in there. Get the needle nose under there. See the blank? Look down from above. Just grab that blank. I can hardly see really. There we go. I'll just pop him out. Easy. So you've got your little blank, and the cable just plugs into where that was. Simple. It's got a little rubber gasket on it, so it looks like it waterproofs the circuit. See the connectors plugged in there, so don't go to the top one. That's for a rear light if you so choose. You don't go into this one here. It'll only go one way, the connector. I thought it might be easy to mix up the polarity, but no, easy. Just plug it in where it logically lines up, and you'll be all set. You see that mount there on the side of the stem? On the side of the stem clamp, you'll need to have a T6 Torx to do those up. I've mounted mine so that so it goes in a little bit. So if you've got a narrow width stem mount there, you'll need to sort of oppose those, but this looks like it'll fit. Stem clamp, those aftermarket stem there is fairly wide, but it looks like there's some flex in those little arms. So I should still be able to fit the light successfully. You'll need a T6 again, Torx, to undo the cap from the back of the Lupine light kit. There's a rubber gasket which fits over the terminals, but you can see on that rubber gasket there, if I get in on there, it's got a plus and a minus. Might be able to see those. Yep, there we go. So it tells you where to connect into the cable. So you'll need a flathead screwdriver for that step of the job. Necessary to strip the wires back, which I've done here. Can't quite get a focus, but yeah, just strip them back maybe another 3 or 4 mil from what was on the actual cable. Make sure that you run the cable through the back of this housing before you tighten down the 2 screws. into the actual light unit, and then using the T6 Torx, you'll do up four little nuts to waterproof that before you mount it to the stem up here. Have the Lupine mounted up. Just bolts in here underneath. There's a couple of T15 Torx that you'll need for those little bolts on the side there. The diagrams in the directions indicate that you need to have a certain inclination of the globe, which I'll test later on when it's dark. But yeah, just going to tidy up the cable routing here. There's a little bit of slack cable there, so I'll just zip tie that on here to match the other cables, and make sure that it's tidied up inside the stem there, and I'll get the battery, make sure the battery's in, the motor's all put back together and the crank's on, and see how she goes. Tidied up the cabling in there. There was no room for the cable clips. They were taken by the brakes, the speed sensor, the dropper post, etc. So I've just zip tied those onto the speed sensor cable, or the control cable rather, on the handlebars, and tried to make a nice neat job of it. The cable was the perfect length. I didn't need to cut it. Ended up here up at the head area, and I'm just about to put the motor casing back on and plug the battery in and see if it works. So I've got the motor cover on again. Don't over tighten those 3mm Allen heads. They've got a bit of Loctite on them, so yeah, you don't want to strip them out, but that little bit of Loctite that's obviously on at the shop will keep them in place. Next step is to put the crank on. Make sure you oppose the crank, so you know, otherwise you'll be having trouble pedaling. Next step's to put the battery in and see if my work has been successful. So the light's installed. Looks pretty good actually. Pretty impressed with the look of that. Just about to power the bike up and see if my light works. Light is on. Oh yeah, baby. Check it out. Unreal. So that's full high beam. Look at that. So 600 lumens blinding this bloody camera. So there's an outside, you can't really tell. Let's see if I can turn it down a mode. Okay, so that's full beam there. There's an automatic mode. That's the daytime running lights. That's full power there. So I've got full power right now, and it's currently light outside, so I'll have to test it later on, but my cabling is working. I have a light which I think has an automatic mode, which will in bright light just present a slight driving light look around the outside there, which is kind of that's actually a little bit less bright. But yeah, very simple procedure. Just take your time with the cable routing and the you know, the plugs, etc. Make sure you get it all nicely done. And yeah, I will be doing a night ride sometime soon to test. Now I think there is also a plug for the rear. There's a rear light you can purchase, which I didn't get at the time. I just I thought, well, I'm not often going to need a rear light because it's not that I'm in traffic very often. Most of the time I'll just be trail riding. And so I just purchased a little standalone micro USB charged rear light here, which I'll turn on. So that'll be my little rear light, just if I happen to be driving around town. But yeah, you can get a light kit that also wires into the motor there for a rear light for the Levo. But I believe this system works plug and play with the 2018 Levo Brose 1.3 motor. You do need to have the latest motor firmware, 5.0.4, and I think you also need the latest battery firmware, the X.23 version. So yeah, hopefully that video was helpful for you guys, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with my little work here today. It's been pretty cruisy sort of way to enjoy an afternoon. I'll pop a video up, and if you enjoyed this content, you want to see more how-to videos on your Levo, etc., or just my ride adventures, Tori's Trails, then please throw me a like and maybe a subscribe if you want to see more. Hopefully I'll get some more content out soon. I've just there's been a lot of things happening in my life and I haven't been able to get videos out as regularly as I would have liked. But yeah, Cheers guys, happy trails.